Hello ladies and welcome back to another video. Before I begin, let me just say that there will be spoilers from what season 3 of My Hero Academia is going to be covering, so if you're an anime only and avoid spoilers, this video may not be for you. Okay, with that out of the way, Izuku Midoriya, the main protagonist of this series. He's an interesting character, and one moment in particular during the field trip arc really made Izuku stand out more than he already did. This is because a lot of readers started to question something that he did, and that is exactly what I'll be talking about in this video, my friends. Izuku Midoriya's supposed 1,000,000% smash against Muscular. So without further ado, let's talk about that. Firstly, we need to go through why Midoriya actually did what he did, because it really does play a major role here. We have to remember that it wasn't there on his own. In fact, the antagonist in question, Muscular, wasn't aiming for Midoriya at all. Midoriya actually jumped between Muscular and Kota, who was the initial target. Now, whether Kota would have died is debatable, but something would have gone down for sure if Midoriya had not intervened, and because he did, he had to fight this massively built villain. Throughout their fight, we see how Deku breaks bone after bone trying to defend himself as well as protecting Kota from getting hurt or kidnapped, whatever Muscular's intent actually was. So the reason why Midoriya eventually had to go way out of his comfort zone is of course because he needed to defend himself, because had he not, Muscular would have beaten the living shit out of him. And then there's Kota. He had to protect him because Midoriya strives to be the kind of hero who wants to protect as many as possible. Kota in this position was no exception to that, regardless of the fact that Midoriya was not yet an actual hero. Now, what Midoriya did is what actually gets a lot of people confused. Maybe you're not one of them, but they assume that because you see this big 1,000,000% on the panel, you immediately expect that he was literally using 1,000,000% of One for All with that one attack, but he didn't. What he did was simply hyping himself up. He needed a way to go beyond his 100% limit, much like All Might did against Nomu during the USJ arc. Izuku's method is however different, because All Might's obviously already mastered his quirk at the time, but young Midoriya needed to find a way to bypass that limit on a psychological level, and by screaming to himself 1,000,000%, his brain will increase the output as far as it can go, but that increase is not actually to 1,000,000%. Before I continue on that, let's compare 100% to 1,000,000%. Because this is where it gets really interesting, and also once you think of it in this way, you'll most likely see it more clearly if you're one of those people that I just talked about. If you're not, then you will obviously be agreeing with me from the get-go. What exactly did 100% do to Deku's body? Think about that. It completely broke his arms or legs, whichever body part he used. And when you consider 1,000,000%, how many times stronger than 100% is that? Let's do this simple math. 1,000,000 divided by 100 is 10,000. That means that the damage of using 1,000,000% would cause the backlash to be 10,000 times more severe. His bones would literally turn to dust. You know, his bones would just vaporize. And when this happened in the series, I do not recall that happening, so you can be sure that 1,000,000% is nowhere close to the right answer. He may have used maybe 150% at best. I seriously do not see it being any higher than that. Now, exactly how much he did go above 100% is unclear, but 150 to 200% is the absolute highest I think you should even consider to be within the realm of possibilities. So Midoriya pretty much, as I said, hyped himself up so that he could surpass his limits even if it causes some big damage on his body, and Kota was obviously the main reason for this, seeing as Midoriya actually needed to protect himself as well as Kota. A small price to pay for one great deed. Now, in case some people are still unsure of what I mean by Midoriya hyping himself up on a psychological level, think of it like this. Imagine being in Midoriya's shoes right here. He has used 100% on Muscular, and it wasn't enough to stop him. You look back and Kota is there, terrified of the man who happens to be the same villain that killed his parents. You need to do something to win, but you don't actually have any other tricks up your sleeve, so what do? You still try, but this time, you don't just give it your all. You completely drain yourself of all of the energy just to reach that extra power needed, and the only way to reach that deep is to make yourself believe that what you're calling out is the real deal. He calls out 1,000,000% because to him, you know, he was desperate. He needed to believe that he had an unlimited source of power. I mean, he didn't, but by believing he did, he was able to get that extra kick into his fist, even if he was left completely defenseless after the fight with both of his arms completely screwed. And that, ladies, concludes this video. Be sure to drop a comment down below to tell me what you think, and if you did, be sure to Detroit smash that like button and subscribe if you want to see more My Hero Academia content. This has been your favorite host, Perm, and I'll see you next time.